Some homes have rules you can see. No shoes inside, no loud music at night, no visitors past a certain hour. But the strangest rules are the ones nobody says out loud. In our house, it was a chair. Every evening, before the sky fully turned dark, my mother would pull it out and place it neatly at the dining table. Not in a dramatic way, just calm, quiet, like someone doing something normal. Three chairs were for us. One chair was for nobody. It wasn't broken. It wasn't special. It didn't have a different color. But you could feel it. Like the air around that chair was heavier than the rest of the room. I grew up seeing it there. The empty chair. And as a child, you don't question what your life is built on. You just accept it. You accept the silence in the room when the chair is adjusted. You accept the way your father avoids looking at it. You accept the way your mother's hand pauses for 1 second before she sits down. Then you eat. And you learn. In our house, you could ask about school. You could ask for water. You could ask for money for a book. But you never asked about the empty chair. The first time I tried, I was maybe 8. We had visitors that day. My mother's cousin and her husband. The table looked full. The food smelled rich. Everyone was smiling. Then my cousin's husband pointed at the chair and laughed softly. "Ah, you people are expecting someone?" he joked. My mother's smile didn't change, but her eyes did. She didn't answer him. She simply walked to the chair, pushed it in slightly, and said, "Please sit here instead." Her voice was polite. Too polite. The man hesitated. Then he sat. The room went quiet. Not the quiet of respect, the quiet of warning. We ate, we talked, we laughed again. But I watched that chair like it was a living thing. Because even with someone sitting on it, it still felt empty. After the visitors left, my mother wiped the table slowly. My father carried the plates into the kitchen. Nobody spoke. Then my mother pulled that chair back out again, placed it neatly, exactly where it always stayed, as if the visitor never touched it. That night, as she washed her hands, I asked in a small voice, "Mummy, who is that chair for?" My mother didn't look at me. She dried her hands calmly. Then she said something I never forgot. "It's not for you to know." Not harsh, not angry, just final. So I stopped asking, but I started noticing more. Like how every evening my mother cooked as if someone else might come. Not extra food, just extra care. She would taste the stew twice, stir the soup longer, arrange the plates more neatly. Sometimes she would bring out the good cups. Then she wouldn't use them. She would just rinse them and put them back. And sometimes, when she thought nobody was watching, she would look at that chair. Not with fear, with something else, like a wound. Years passed. I grew older. The chair stayed. We changed curtains. We changed televisions. We changed the color of the walls. But the chair stayed. Even when my mother's hair began to gray. Even when my father's laughter became quieter. Even when the house became the kind of place where people spoke less. The chair stayed. And there was another thing. The chair made sounds at night. Not every night. But sometimes when the house was deep asleep, you'd hear it. A slow creak, like someone shifting their weight. At first I thought it was rats. Then I thought it was the wood reacting to cold. But I listened carefully one night. And I realized something. The creak always came at the same time. Not exactly 2 a.m. like those dramatic stories. No. This was more subtle. It happened around when the night was at its quietest. When even the fan sounded loud. And each time it happened, my mother would wake up. Not fully. Just enough to sit up slightly in bed. Like she heard a familiar footstep. Then she would lie back down. And pretend she didn't. I noticed that too. But I never spoke about it. Because in our house, silence wasn't emptiness. Silence was protection. Until the year I turned 19. That year, my father fell sick. Not sudden, not shocking, just slow. He became tired easily. He stopped going out, he sat more, he spoke less. One evening, we were eating and he dropped his spoon. It wasn't dramatic. The spoon just slipped from his hand and hit the plate. The sound was small, but it made my mother flinch. She looked at him. He waved it off like it was nothing. But his eyes looked far away. That night after my mother went to sleep, I found him in the living room. The lights were off. Only the TV was showing blue light. He wasn't watching it. He was staring at the dining table, at the empty chair. I stood there for a moment. Then I sat on the floor near him. We stayed quiet. Minutes passed. Then he said without looking at me, "You've always wanted to know?" My throat tightened. I didn't answer. He nodded slowly. "The chair." I swallowed. "Yes." He exhaled, long and tired, like he had been holding his breath for years. Then he said, "That chair is for your brother." I felt the words enter my body like cold water. "My brother?" My father's jaw tightened. "Yes." I stared at him, confused. I didn't have a brother. I had never had a brother. I had never heard anyone mention a brother. Even in family gatherings, even in jokes, even in anger. He was never spoken of. My voice came out small. "Where is he?" My father didn't answer immediately. He just stared at the chair like it could speak for him. Then he said, "He left." I waited. Left where? Left how? Left when? But my father didn't give details. Not yet. He continued slowly. "He left this house, and your mother never forgave him." I felt my head spin. I tried to breathe normally. "So, he's alive?" My father nodded once. Then he rubbed his face like it hurt. "He's alive," he said. "But in this house, he's treated like he died." My stomach twisted. What did he do? My father's eyes finally met mine. And I saw something I had never seen in him before. Fear. Not fear of danger. Fear of memory. He looked away again. Then he spoke like a man confessing. When he was 17, he got into trouble. What kind of trouble? My father's voice lowered. The kind that brings shame. I waited, but he didn't explain in detail. He didn't need to. In our community, shame was a heavy word. It could mean many things. It could mean theft. It could mean betrayal. It could mean lying that destroyed a home. My father continued. He did something, and your mother begged him to stop. He refused? My father nodded, and it didn't end well. I leaned forward. What happened? My father's lips trembled slightly, but he held himself. He left one night, he said, after a serious fight. Then, very quietly, he added, he pushed your mother. The room went still. My chest tightened, not because of the action alone, but because of what it meant. I had seen my mother's strength my whole life, but I had never seen her as someone who could be hurt by her own child. My father's voice cracked, just a little. She didn't fall badly, he said quickly, but something broke in her that night. I stared at the dark table, at the chair. So that's what it was, not a chair for the dead, a chair for the living, who was no longer welcome. I whispered, "Did he ever come back?" My father shook his head. "He tried," he said. My eyes lifted. "He tried?" My father nodded slowly. "He called, he wrote. He even came to the gate once." My heart pounded. "And?" My father swallowed hard. "Your mother didn't open." I felt a lump rise in my throat. All those years, all that silence, all that cooking with extra care, all those nights the chair creaked. I looked at my father. "So why keep the chair?" My father's eyes softened with pain. He said the answer slowly. "Because your mother is angry, but she's also waiting." That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed listening to the sounds of the house, the fan, a distant dog barking, the slight crack of wood settling. Then it came. The chair. A slow creak, not loud, just enough to make you hold your breath. My eyes opened wide. I sat up, and for the first time in my life I got out of bed and walked toward the dining room. The hallway was dark. The floor felt cold under my feet. When I reached the table, I stopped. The chair was there, pulled out slightly. Not much, just slightly. Like someone had been about to sit, or like someone had stood up quietly. I stared at it. My heart beat hard in my ears. Then I heard something else, a sound from the front of the house, not a bang, not forced entry, just a gentle knock, 3 soft knocks. My mouth went dry. Nobody knocks like that at that hour unless they know you. Unless they don't want to wake the whole house. I stood still. The knocks came again, soft, careful, patient. I didn't move. Then I heard my mother's bedroom door open. Slow footsteps. No panic, no rushing. She walked like she had been expecting this. I turned and saw her silhouette in the hallway. She didn't look at me. She walked past me toward the front door. I followed quietly, staying behind her. She stopped at the door. Her hand hovered near the lock. She didn't open. Instead, she leaned her forehead against the wood and spoke in a voice I had never heard from her before. Not angry, not proud, just tired. Go, she whispered. Silence outside. Then a voice came, quiet and controlled. Mama, it's me. My mother's shoulders tightened. My chest felt like it was being squeezed. That voice sounded older than I expected. Not a boy, a man. Then he said something else. Not begging, not shouting, just simple. I sat in a restaurant today, he said. There was an empty chair beside me, and I couldn't eat. My mother's breathing changed. I could hear it, like she was fighting something in her throat. Outside, the man continued. I don't want peace for myself, he said. I want peace for you. My mother's hand slowly left the lock. She didn't open, but she didn't walk away. Seconds passed, then she spoke again, very softly. Why now? A pause. Then the voice outside answered, Because I heard Papa is sick. My mother flinched, not from surprise, from pain. She didn't reply. Outside, the man said, I've been outside this house many times, he admitted. I always left before morning so you wouldn't see me standing here like a thief. My eyes burned. I didn't even know this man, but I felt like I had known him my whole life, because the empty chair had raised me too. Then he said the words that broke something open in the air. Mama, I'm not asking you to forget. Another pause. I'm just asking you to stop waiting with anger. My mother's lips trembled. She still didn't open the door, but she turned her head slightly like she was trying to look through the wood. Then she asked, almost inaudible, Are you still that person? The voice outside came gently. No, he said, but I live with what I did. Silence. My mother's shoulders shook once, just once. Then she reached for the lock. My breath caught. She twisted it slowly. The door opened. Not wide, just enough. And I saw him. A man standing in the weak porch light, dark brown skin, older face, tired eyes. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't dramatic. He just stood there like he had been holding his life in his hands. My mother stared at him. He stared back. Then he lowered his head. Not for show. For shame. He whispered, I'm sorry. My mother didn't rush into his arms. She didn't slap him. She didn't cry loudly. She simply stood there. And the quiet between them felt heavy and holy. Then she stepped aside. Just one step. A small movement. But it meant everything. Come in, she said. He hesitated, like he didn't believe her. Then he stepped inside. Slowly. Carefully. Like he didn't want to break anything again. My mother closed the door behind him. And for the first time in my life, the house felt like it exhaled. We walked to the dining table without speaking. My brother's eyes went to the empty chair. He froze. My mother walked to it, put her hand on it, and pushed it in. Fully. Neatly. No shaking, no drama. Just a simple ending to a long punishment. Then she looked at him and said, You can sit tomorrow. Not tonight, not instantly, but tomorrow. A quiet mercy. My brother nodded, tears gathering but not falling. He whispered, Okay? That night, nobody ate. We just sat. The three of us in the living room, my father sleeping in his room, the house quiet. Not the dangerous quiet, the kind of quiet that comes after truth and before healing. Later, when I went back to bed, I listened. The fan hummed. The rain started softly again. And in the dining room, the chair did not creak, not once, because for the first time in years, it was no longer waiting.